Think about this for a second. You pour your whole life, pretty much, into teaching. Years, maybe decades, in the classroom, right? You're shaping minds, you're part of the community.
Yeah, you see kids grow up, become adults.
Exactly. You've put everything into it.
Yeah.
And then, boom, a new rule comes along, and all that experience, all that knowledge you've built up, suddenly counts the same as someone who basically just walked in the door.
Oof. Yeah.
Feels like a real slap in the face, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And, this isn't just a hypothetical. It's happening right now to teachers in Andhra Pradesh. We're going to dive into this whole controversy around their new transfer guidelines.
Right.
And the real flashpoint seems to be this thing called the station point system. It's causing a lot of upset, a lot of anxiety, understandably so.
Yeah, absolutely. And for you listening, maybe you're following this, maybe it affects you directly. We want to try and, unpack it a bit, cut through the jargon. What's the actual problem here with this transfer system?
Yeah.
Why are people so angry? And, what could happen down the line for schools, for the teachers themselves?
Okay, so let's set the scene a little. It was May 22nd this year. The Director of School Education, Vijayawada Raju, released the transfer schedule.
Right.
And this affects a lot of teachers. We're talking headmasters grade 2, school assistants, secondary grade teachers, basically teachers across all sorts of government-run schools, Zilla Parishad, Mandal Parishad, municipal schools.
Okay, so pretty much everyone.
Pretty much. And this came after a new law, the Andhra Pradesh State Teachers Transfers Regulation Act 2025, and also some interim court orders. So it's got a bit of a complex history already.
Definitely sounds like it. Okay, so this station point system, that seems to be the heart of the matter. How is it supposed to work? What's the theory behind it?
Well, the basic idea, the principle, is to have an objective way to decide who gets priority for transfers.
Makes sense.
So it assigns points based on things like how long you've taught at one school, maybe where the school is located, other factors. And originally, under the Municipal Act, it was fairly simple. If you were in a municipal school, you got 2 points a year.
Okay.
Corporation school, 1 point a year. Seemed straightforward enough, a way to recognize how long you'd been somewhere.
Right. Sounded simple, but I guess, like you said, it got complicated.
That's putting it mildly, yeah. Recent changes, different classifications of municipalities, it's created a real mess. Instead of everyone in a municipal school getting those 2 points, now it can be 1 point or 2 or even 3 points per year.
Wait, depending on the type of municipality.
Exactly. So you could have 2 teachers, same exact job, same number of years served, but one gets way more points just because their town falls into a different category.
Oh, wow. Okay. I can see how that would feel random.
Yeah.
And unfair.
Totally. It feels like, potluck. And that's where the resentment starts building. But the really big issue, the one causing the most outrage, is this 8-point cap.
Ah, yes. Explain that.
So the rule says once you hit 8 years of service, you get 8 station points. And that's it. Maximum.
So someone with 8 years gets the same priority as someone with, say, 28 years?
Precisely. 8 years, 28 years, 30 years. Doesn't matter. You're all capped at 8 points for transfer priority based on service length.
That's incredible. It's like saying a marathon runner who's finished dozens of races is exactly the same as someone who just finished their first 10K.
It is. It completely appears to discount decades of experience and commitment after that initial 8-year mark.
I can only imagine how veteran teachers must feel.
Yeah.
All that time just doesn't count anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's deeply demoralizing for them. Now, let's look at why the government might be doing this. Their stated goal, the reason for the transfers in the first place, is optimization.
Right, spreading teachers out, making sure schools are staffed properly.
Yeah, ensure smooth operations everywhere, avoid having too many teachers in one place and not enough in another. That's the official line.
And there were rules about how long you could stay in one place too, weren't there? Something like Jogo number 22.
That's right, Jugo Num 22. It basically said principals, or headmasters grade 2, could be moved after 5 years, and teachers after 8 years in the same school. The idea was, transparency, efficiency.
Okay.
But as we've been saying, these flaws in the point system really undermine that, especially for the municipal teachers with the points all over the place, 1, 2, or 3 points. It's like spinning a wheel of fortune for your transfer priority. How is that efficient or transparent?
It isn't. It feels like the opposite.
Yeah.
It introduces randomness where you expect fairness. And that 8-point cap again, it just seems punitive to long-serving staff.
It does. There was this analogy someone used at a protest in Vijayawada, like telling a master chef their lifetime of skill is worth the same as someone who just learned to make instant noodles.
Wow. Yeah, that captures it perfectly. The feeling of being totally undervalued.
It really does. And we have to talk about the human cost here. This isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet. These are people.
Dedicated teachers.
Absolutely. Many have spent years, decades in tough environments, urban schools, maybe overcrowded classrooms, dealing with kids from all sorts of backgrounds, limited resources.
And that kind of experience, you can't just put a number on it, can you? It's wisdom, patience, skill honed over years.
Exactly right. It's not just years served, it's understanding how to teach effectively, how to manage a classroom, how to connect with different kids. But this 8-point cap basically says after year 8, none of that extra experience gives you any more priority.
It's brutal.
We heard about this teacher in Visakhapatnam, 25 years in the same school.
Right.
25 years.
Incredible dedication.
Right. Seen generations pass through. And they feel like that quarter century of commitment just counts for nothing extra in this transfer process. It's like, ignoring your grandparents' stories because they're old. The value is immense, but the system doesn't see it.
That's heartbreaking. And the practical side of transfers. It's huge, isn't it? Uprooting families, finding new places to live, kids changing schools.
Massive disruption, especially for senior teachers who've built lives, communities. Their kids might be in local schools. Maybe they're caring for elderly parents nearby.
Yeah.
Suddenly facing a transfer without that long service being properly valued. It causes huge stress, emotional, financial, and then add the inconsistent points for different towns. It just fuels resentment. Why does someone over there get more points than me for the same work?
You can see why they're protesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's back up. This law, the Andhra Pradesh State Teachers Transfers Regulation Act, 2025. What was it meant to achieve? What was the problem it was trying to fix?
Well, the main goal was to make teacher placements and transfers smoother, more transparent, more fair across the whole state. It was part of a bigger push for education reform under the chief minister and Chandrababu Naidu.
Right. Trying to improve things overall.
And remember, this came alongside that big announcement, the mega DSC notification back in April. They were planning to hire, over 16,000 new teachers?
Yeah, 16,347 posts to fill shortages.
Exactly. So on paper, it looks like the government's trying to fix things, address shortages, streamline the system. Good intentions, seemingly.
But the execution, particularly this point system, seems like where it went wrong.
It really seems that way. The design just feels flawed. Like you said, the original Municipal Act rules were simple. 2 points municipal, 1 point corporation. Clear. These new variable points based on municipality type, the logic isn't clear. Why the change? It's caused confusion and feels unfair.
And that 8-point cap again? What's the likely thinking there? Maybe stop people racking up too many points and becoming impossible to move.
That's probably the presumed logic, yeah. Preventing people from gaming the system or becoming immovable, giving the administration flexibility.
With a counter-argument.
Is that it punishes loyalty. It punishes the very teachers you want to keep, the experienced ones. There was a union leader in Guntur who basically asked, how does capping points help retain experienced teachers? It makes their dedication meaningless after 8 years. It's a powerful point.
It really is.
Yeah.
And so teachers are fighting back. Protests across the state.
Oh, yeah. Vijayawada, Visakhapatnam, other places too. Teachers are out there demanding a fairer system. They're really mobilized.
And the unions, like the Andhra Pradesh Teachers Federation,
Yeah.
APTF, they're involved.
Definitely. The APTF, led by their state president, G. Hridayaraju, has been very vocal. They're talking to officials, meeting with people like the director of school education, trying to get changes made.
What are their main demands?
Pretty clear, really. Number 1, get rid of that 8-point cap. 2, standardize the points, make it the same across all municipalities and corporations, clear rules.
Makes sense.
And 3, just properly recognize the service of senior teachers, value their experience.
I saw a quote from Hridayaraju, something like, we're not asking for the moon, just acknowledge our service.
Exactly. And the teachers behind him were all agreeing. It's that core feeling we just want our years of work to count for something fair.
And teachers are pointing out practical problems too, right? Like if you're in a smaller town with fewer points, you can't easily transfer somewhere better, even with lots of experience.
Precisely. You get stuck. And conversely, if you're in a bigger corporation area with lower point accrual, it's harder to stay put, even if you want to.
So it feels like a lose-lose for many.
It kind of does. A lose-lose situation created by trying to fix something, but maybe not thinking through all the consequences.
And all this is happening while the state is trying to do other big things in education, isn't it?
That's right. It's not happening in isolation. We mentioned the big teacher recruitment drive, the Mega DSC. That's supposed to run from June 6th to July 6th.
Filling over 16,000 posts. That's huge.
Massive. And then there was that restructuring of schools, GeoNum 19 on May 13th, creating 9 different types of schools, supposedly for better outcomes. That came after they scrapped another controversial order, Geo 117.
Right, the one people worried would increase workload and dropouts.
Exactly. And they're also looking at bringing back a 100% quota for local tribal teachers in certain agency areas. So you see efforts to reform, to fix things.
But then this transfer issue pops up.
Yeah, it feels like
Yeah.
they're trying to move forward, but keep tripping over their own feet with things like this point system.
It almost veers into the absurd, doesn't it? That 28-year veteran getting the same priority as an 8-year teacher.
It's like giving the same trophy to an Olympian and someone who just started training last week.
And the points differing by town. It's like they threw darts at a map.
It lacks that clear rationale, which makes it feel arbitrary.
And the irony, the state's investing huge amounts, you mentioned, like in agriculture, billions of rupees.
Yeah, nearly 50,000 crore rupees in the budget for agriculture.
Huge sums. But then the system seems to undervalue the people educating the future farmers, doctors, engineers, everyone. You'd think teachers would be seen as a crucial investment too.
You would absolutely think so. And that's what's really at stake here. It's not just about rules and points. It's about the future of schools in Andhra Pradesh.
How so? What are the risks?
Well, if your experienced teachers feel demoralized, undervalued, what happens? Some might retire early. Some might just leave teaching altogether.
Brain drain from the classroom.
Exactly. You lose that invaluable experience. And the passion, the drive, that can fade if you feel the system is against you. And who suffers most in the end?
The students.
The students. They miss out on having those seasoned, skilled educators. Plus, this inconsistent system could mess up staffing even more. Some areas desperately needing teachers, others maybe getting too many, disrupting schools, disrupting kids' lives.
So what's the fix? How do they get out of this mess?
Well, the obvious first step seems to be ditching that 8-point cap. Just get rid of it.
Okay.
Maybe replace it with something more gradual, a sliding scale. Like, okay, after 8 years, maybe you get half a point per year extra or something like that. Acknowledge continued service.
That sounds more reasonable. And the points for different towns?
Standardize them. One clear rule for all municipal schools, one clear rule for all corporation schools. No more lottery based on town classification. Make it transparent. Make it fair.
And involve the teachers.
Absolutely crucial. Talk to the teachers. Talk to the unions like APTF. They know how this affects people on the ground. Set up a proper review committee. Include teacher representatives. Listen to them.
And communicate better.
Definitely. Explain why decisions are being made. Listen to feedback. Show that you're trying to find solutions together. Build some trust back.
Because as you said, the state's trying to do a lot with education. New textbooks, skill programs. Big changes are happening. But you need a solid foundation, and that foundation is your teachers. If they're unhappy, if the basics like transfers are unfair, it undermines everything else you're trying to build.
It's like building a house on shaky ground.
Exactly. And the government's juggling other things too, water policy, political events like the TDP's Mahanadu. But getting this teacher issue right has to be a top priority. Okay, so wrapping this up, the core issue. These Andhra Pradesh teacher transfer rules, especially that 8-point service cap and the confusing points for different towns, are causing real upset and feel deeply unfair, particularly to experienced teachers.
Right. And we have to keep stressing this isn't just bureaucracy. It hits dedicated educators right where they live, their careers, their families, their sense of value. And that inevitably impacts the kids they teach.
It really makes you think, doesn't it, for you listening? What does it really mean to value experience in teaching, in any vital job? What happens long term when policies seem to ignore years of dedication? It's something to mull over, not just for teachers in Andhra Pradesh, but maybe for how we value expertise everywhere.